What is Joule's law? First, we will discuss the Joule's law. After the Joule's law, we will discuss the first law of thermodynamics, the outcomes of the Joule's law, and obviously the perpetual motion of machine kind 1. So Joule's law states that summation Q is equal to summation W. What does it mean? In a closed cycle, in any of the closed cyclic process, the sum of all the heat transfer is equal to the sum of all the work transfer. Joule's law states that hello students. Now today we will start the Joule's law and the first law of thermodynamics. What is Joule's law? What Joule's law states that? Joule's law states that in any cyclic process, the sum of all the form of heat transfer is equal to the sum of heat transfer, all form of the work transfer. So Joule's law states that in any cyclic process, for a closed system, the sum of heat transfer is equal to the sum of work transfer. This states the Joule's law. Suppose this is our closed thermodynamic cyclic process and we move from state 1 to 2 through path A and return from 2 to 1 through path B. It is our PV diagram. According to the Joule's law, sum of all the Q in any cyclic process is equal to sum of all the work transfer. This is nothing but your heat transfer. This is your heat transfer and this is work transfer. So this is the Joule's law, and on the basis of the Joule's law, the first law of thermodynamics depends. So if we applied the Joule's law for this cycle in which we move from state 1 to state 2 through path A and return from state 2 to state 1 through path B, then what is the summation of Q? What is summation Q? It is nothing but integration through path 1A to dq, let it be dq, plus returning from path 2B1 dq. Similarly, what is the value of summation W for this cycle? 1A2 dW plus 2B1 dW. So as per Joule's law, summation 1A2 dq plus summation 2B1 dq, this must be equal to summation 1A2 dqW plus summation 2B1 dW. This is the Joule's law. means sum of all the heat transfer is equal to the sum of the work transfer in any cyclic process for a closed system. So this is your Joule's law. Okay, now what are the outcomes of the Joule's law? If we apply the Joule's law, then what are the result which we defined, which we derived with respect to the Joule's law, that we have to discuss. So once we discuss it, there are two important outcomes come. The first important outcome is that the heat transfer is a path function, and the second one is the energy is a property. Here this energy is nothing but it is energy of a system. Energy of a system. This energy, it is not, don't understand that this energy is your energy transfer. It is the energy of a system. And what is the energy of a system? As we have already discussed, it is nothing but it is the sum of internal energy plus kinetic energy plus potential energy. This is the three types of the energy which constitute the energy of a system, and this energy of a system is your property. And since we always consider that kinetic energy and potential energy value is very less as compared to the potential energy, so sometimes we use this E as U plus KE plus PE, and sometimes we use this E is equal to U, that is the energy of a system is equal to the internal energy, when kinetic and potential energy is being neglected as compared to the internal energy, because the value of the internal energy is much more as compared to kinetic and potential energy. So the important outcomes of the Joule's law is that heat transfer is a path function. So first we derive the formula that how the heat transfer is a path function, and next we will prove that energy is a property. So as in case of Joule's law, we have already proved that if in a closed cycle, in a cyclic process or a closed system, suppose we move from 1A2 and returned back from 2B1, from state 1 to state 2. So according to Joule's law, summation Q must be is equal to summation W in any of the cyclic process. Cyclic. Here to write at cyclic. I am writing CYC, that is represent cyclic. So according to Joule's law, summation Q that in any cyclic process for a closed system is equal to summation W cyclic process in a closed system. So here this summation Q is nothing but it is integration 1A2 dQ plus integration 2B1 dQ, and as far as the work transfer is considered, we can take it as integration 1A2 dW plus integration 2B1 dW. So since the summation of these two is equal to the summation of these two according to Joule's law, then integration 1A2 dQ plus integration 2B1 dQ, that must be equal to 1A2 dW plus integration 2B1 dW, or we can write as 1A2 dQ minus 1A2 dW, this is equal to 2B1 dQ minus 2B1 dW. This is minus and this is plus. Okay, so we can write it as 1A2 dQ minus 1A2 dW is equal to, since 2B1 So we have to integrate from state 2 to state 1, and by the integration property, if we changes the root, then it can be written as minus time of 1b2. So apply this property of the integration, so we can write it as 1b2 dq, and this is minus and minus, this will give you the plus, minus 1b2 dw. Okay, now this can be written as 1a2 d of q minus w is equal to 1b2 d of q minus w. So according to this one, what we see that 1a2 and 1b2, so through path 1a2 the value of q minus w, and through path 1b2 the value of q minus w, these values are same, means q minus w is a quantity which does not depend upon the path. Okay, whether it is through path 1a2 or it is path 1b2, it only depends at the end and starting point, that is we are starting from 1 and ending at point 2. So we can say that q minus w is a physical quantity, whose value does not depend on path. So since q minus w does not depend on path, so it must be the point function, and we say that this q minus w is nothing but energy of a system, and will be represented by E. So d of E or delta E, from 1a2 is equal to d of delta E to 1b2. Hence energy of a system is a point function, and this energy of a system is delta E is equal to sum of internal energy plus kinetic energy plus potential energy. Sometimes when kinetic energy and potential energy are much less as compared to U, that is internal energy, then we neglect kinetic energy and potential energy as compared to internal energy U, then delta E becomes delta U. So Q minus W becomes delta U. So from this we say that energy of a system is a point function. So energy of a system is a point function. This is an important outcome. The energy of a system is a point function. This is an important outcome of Joule's law. Okay, the other outcome is that that heat transfer is a path function. That we have to prove heat transfer is a path function. How to prove this one? So see here, q dq minus dw from 1a2 to dq minus dw from 1b2, or we can see from this 1a2 dq plus 2b1 dq is equal to 1a2 dw plus 2b1 dw. And since we know that work transfer is a path function, work transfer is a path function, means the transfer of work depends on path. Since the value of work transfer depends on path, then automatically this value will depends on path also. So heat transfer is also a path function. And since 1a2 dq plus 2b1 dq, this is equal to 1a2 dw plus 2b1 dw, and this entire depends on path. This depends on path since w is a path function. So the left hand side will also depend on path. That's why the heat transfer is also a path function. So there are the two important outcomes come from the Joule's law. The first is that heat transfer is a path function, and second one is that the energy of a system is your point function. Energy of a system is a property. Since it is a point function, and point function means that it is a property. So energy of a system is a property and heat transfer is a path function. This is the important outcomes of the Joule's law. Now, on the basis of the first Joule's law, we define the first law of thermodynamics. This is very, very important. What basically first law of thermodynamics states? First law of thermodynamics is nothing but it is the law of conservation of energy. First law of thermodynamics, first law of thermodynamics. Law of conservation of energy. The first law of thermodynamics is basically nothing but it is based on the law of conservation of energy. What the law of conservation of energy says? Law of conservation of energy says that one form of energy can be converted into another form of energy, and energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Okay, it can neither be created nor be destroyed, and energy can only be transferred from one form to another form. Okay, so this basically states the first law of thermodynamics. So suppose this is our any system. This is any system. So obviously this is nothing but your surrounding. This is surrounding and this is my system. And suppose some different form of energy is being transferred. That since energy is entering into the system, so I am writing this as E in, and some form of energy is coming out of the system, that is the energy out. So E in is nothing but it is the energy which is entering into the system, and E out is the energy coming out from the system. And obviously by entering and transferring of the energy entering and coming out from the system, some energy of the system will automatically changes, which is known as delta E of system, that is energy of a system. This energy of a system and this energy of a which is transferring is totally different. E in and E out, E and E out is nothing but they are energy transfer. They are energy transfer. And how many type of energy transfer takes place? It takes place by three forms. The one is your heat, other one is work, and third one is your mass. And this delta E system that I have already told that this is nothing but it is delta U plus delta KE, that is change in kinetic energy plus change in potential energy of the system. Okay, so energy in and energy out are energy transferred, and delta E system is nothing but it is the energy of a system, which is the sum of the kinetic energy, potential energy, and internal energy. So according to the first law of thermodynamics, E in, the difference of total energy which is coming in and out or which is transferring through the system is nothing but it is equal to the change in the energy of the system itself. Okay, so this is the, in a broader sense, this is the first law of thermodynamics, and this is applicable for every processes, whether it is your closed system, open system, reversible, irreversible, for everywhere this system, this energy, first law of thermodynamics will be applicable. Now under some assumptions we write the first law of thermodynamics in such a way that Q barabar W plus delta U. So these are under some assumptions, so we have to write down what are the assumptions. So first assumption is that system is closed. System is closed. So since system is closed, so only Q and W, that is the heat transfer and work transfer, takes place. Second, heat is given to system and system does work. Means Q in and W out is possible. Heat is given to the system and work is coming out from the system is possible. Okay. Third assumption that the change in internal energy is only the energy of a system, means change in kinetic energy and change in potential energy will be neglected So once we considered all these, then what will happen? E in minus E out is equal to delta E system. So E in is only Q minus E out is only W, and delta E system is delta U. So Q comes to be W plus delta U, which is the first law of thermodynamics. Thus this first law of thermodynamics is basically under these assumptions. We have to remember all these assumptions, and in a broader sense the first law of thermodynamics is this one. What the first law of thermodynamics is, basically the first law says first law says that E in minus E out is equal to delta E system. Now E in, so there are three types of in, that is Q in plus W in plus ME in. What does it mean? M is the total mass entering and E is the energy of a mass. So energy, this small e is energy of mass, energy of per unit mass, and this is nothing but it is sum of internal energy plus flow work PV plus internal energy plus, don't write flow work here, it is kinetic energy plus potential energy. Okay, so this is total energy which is coming inside, and energy which is going out is Q out plus W out plus M into E out, that will be equal to delta E system. So this is the first law of thermodynamics. Now Q, W and ME for closed system, obviously this ME and this ME will be cancelled out because the flow of mass is not possible. So suppose if I have a system something like this, even in a closed system, and I am assuming that it is a closed system, and suppose this is our W and this is our Q, then how to write the first law of thermodynamics? So as per the first law of thermodynamics, what is E in here? Here E in is nothing but it is W. What is E coming outside this is nothing but Q. So the first law says that W minus Q is equal to delta U or delta E. Delta U or delta E, we take delta U when kinetic and potential energy are neglected, otherwise it is a delta E system. Okay, most of the time, since the kinetic and potential energy of the system is much less as compared to its potential energy, so we generally take delta E system is equal to the delta U of the system. So here we need not to consider about the sign convention, that whether if we are putting the Q, if the E is entering to the system, if W is entering to the system, then it should be taken as a negative or positive. When Q is given to the system, then take it as a positive. Q is coming outside the system, then take it as a negative. So it creates a lot of confusion. So you have to only remember that which type of the energy is entering into the system and which type of energy is coming out of the system, and then apply the formula E in minus E out is equal to delta E system. So you just remember which type of the energy is coming into the system and which type of the energy is coming out of the system, and put the values over there, so you will get the result. So in a broader sense, this is the first law of thermodynamics, but for a closed system we generally use Q barabar W plus delta U under some assumptions, and assumption I have already explained to you. So for a closed system, it is for a closed system Q barabar W plus delta U. That you have to remember under some constraints. Okay. So on the first law of thermodynamics, a perpetual motion of machine of first kind has been designed. So what is the perpetual motion of machine? What does it the meaning of the perpetual motion? Perpetual motion means that it is the machine which cannot be possible in a real sense. Means this type of the machine cannot be manufactured. So what the perpetual motion of machine says, that there can be no machine which would continuously supply the mechanical work without consuming other form of the energy simultaneously. Means it is not at all possible for any machine to generally convert the work into another form of continuously produces the work, which continuously produces the work and take the without consuming any other form of the energy. So this is your perpetual motion of machine kind 1. Now come to the enthalpy. What is enthalpy? So in thermodynamics, basically most of the places we use the word U plus PV. What is U? U is nothing but it is the internal energy. It is your internal energy. And what is PV? As I have already explained, this PV is nothing but it is flow work. Flow work or work. Sometimes it will be considered as work. So when piston moves, if we take the piston cylinder arrangement, then it will be considered as a work. When the piston cylinder arrangement is there, then piston moves, so it do some work, so we considered it as a PV. So the sum of internal energy with respect to PV, so this gives another value which is known as enthalpy, and this enthalpy is nothing but it is an extensive property. What does mean of extensive property? Extensive property means that it is a property but its value depends on mass of the system. Okay, and what is its unit? Its unit is kilojoule. And what is the meaning of small h? That is the intensive property. Its unit is kilojoule per kilogram. It is per unit mass. Specific enthalpy, this is known as specific enthalpy. This is considered as specific enthalpy. So H is equal to U plus PV. This is very important term in case of thermodynamics, and we have to always remember U plus PV will be considered as an enthalpy. And in most of the cases, why we take this as a work? Because, and this is nothing but it is the heat transfer under constant pressure, because under constant pressure the work done is nothing but it is PV. This is under constant pressure. Under constant pressure work done. Okay, so that we will discuss later. Now we'll see the heat transfer in different processes. What are the value of the heat transfer for different processes? What is the value at constant volume? What is the value of heat transfer at constant volume? So we have already proved and we have already explained this thing. Suppose this is a piston cylinder arrangement and we uses the stopper over here. Okay, and this is your piston and some heat is given to this system. Let us assume this is my system. Okay, and some gas is present over here. Once the heat is given to this system, obviously the temperature of this gas inside the system increases, but due to this stopper piston does not move, so its volume remains constant. When the volume remains constant, then whatever with the amount of heat is given, that heat is being utilized for increasing the internal energy of this system. So as per the first law of thermodynamics, Q barabar W plus delta U. Since W is equal to 0 for an isochoric process, so Q becomes delta U at constant volume. At constant volume. So at constant volume, the heat transfer is nothing but it is the energy required for changing the internal energy of the system. And this Q at constant volume is always remembered as mCV dt or mCV delta T. Then what is this CV? This CV is nothing but it is a specific volume. A specific volume constant at constant volume, at constant volume, sorry, this is specific heat at constant, I'm sorry, at constant volume. This CV is nothing but it is a specific heat at constant volume. So U बराबर डेल्टा U is equal to mCV delta T, or we can write at CV is equal to del U over del T at a constant volume, mCV is equal to this one, or on the per unit basis this CV is equal to del U over del T at a constant volume. So always remember, this is again an important thing for finding the calculation part. Okay, so CV becomes a specific heat at constant volume is nothing but it is the partial derivative of, once we do the partial derivative of internal energy with respect to temperature at a constant volume, so we will get the specific heat at constant volume. Okay, so this is nothing but it is not 9U9T, it is d bar U over d bar T at constant volume, keeping volume constant. Okay, now specific heat at heat transfer at constant pressure. So we know that as per the first law of thermodynamics, Q बराबर W plus delta U, and heat is given to a piston cylinder arrangement, and now the stopper has been removed, gas is there, then what will happen if we provide the heat? Obviously the piston will start moving upside. Once the piston moves, then it do some work. Suppose this work is P delta V plus delta U. Since it is at a constant and we keep the pressure remains constant, so this is Q. Okay, Q बराबर P delta V plus delta U, or this can be written as d of U plus PV. If we differentiate it with respect to, this is dq, infinitesimal small for, so this dq is nothing but it is du plus pdv plus vdp, and this vdp terms will be 0 because change in pressure remains constant, so this will be equal to 0. So dq is equal to du plus pdv, which comes out to be this. So dq is equal to d of u plus pv, so dq is equal to d of u plus pv, and as we have already discussed that u plus pv is nothing but at a constant pressure, it is known as enthalpy, so this comes out to be dh. So heat transfer at constant pressure is nothing but it is always is equal to the enthalpy, dh. So always remember, at a constant pressure the heat transfer to the system is nothing but it is your enthalpy, and this heat transfer is nothing but it is mCp dt, where Cp is a specific heat at constant pressure is equal to dH. So Cp can be calculated as dH over dt at a constant pressure. So this is your Cp, sorry, this Cp is nothing but it is del H over del T at a constant pressure. So this is the value of Cp. So I think it is clear that at a constant pressure the heat transfer is nothing but it is known as enthalpy. Constant pressure heat transfer is enthalpy. Okay, so this is again an important thing. Now come for the isothermal process. What does the meaning of the isothermal process? Isothermal process is a process in which the temperature of the system remains constant. Since the temperature of the system remains constant, suppose I provide heat to the system. Okay, This is our piston cylinder closed system. Piston cylinder arrangement is there. Now the temperature of this gas remains always constant. Since the temperature of the gas remains constant, so what will happen? Once we give the heat to the system, then piston moves in such a way that the temperature of the cylinder inside this is always constant. So this is possible only when whatever be the amount of heat given, that will be utilized in doing work for moving the piston. Okay, so the internal energy of the system always remains constant. Since the internal energy or energy of the system remains constant, then delta U or delta E value will be equal to 0 at constant temperature. So from here we say that internal energy or energy of a system depends on temperature. So if the value of temperature remains constant, then the value of internal energy or energy of a system is always 0. Change in internal energy or energy of a system is 0, or its value remains constant. So in isothermal process, whatever be the amount of heat is given, then heat is being utilized in doing some work, and this work will be done in such a way that the temperature inside the cylinder will always constant. And what is the work in isothermal process? The work in isothermal process, as we have already calculated, is nothing but it is PV ln of Vf upon Vi, where Vf is the final volume, Vi is the initial volume, and PV at any time we can take. So this is the amount of the work, and this amount of the work is nothing but this is equal to your heat transfer also. Heat transfer. And this is at isothermal process. Okay, now the adiabatic process. The next one is the adiabatic process. So in adiabatic process, suppose this is our closed system, piston cylinder arrangement is there, and this is my closed system, and heat is given. So in adiabatic process, we insulate our system. So we insulate in our system means that the heat which is transferring is 0. So whatever be the internal energy of the system, this internal energy is being basically utilized for doing the work. Okay, so in adiabatic process, internal energy of a system is used for doing work, and okay, internal energy is basically used for doing the work, for moving the piston, and heat transfer in adiabatic process is always constant, is always equal to 0. Okay, now come for the polytropic process. Before polytropic process, let's discuss one thing. Let's see for isobaric process. dq is equal to dw plus du. Okay, so this dq for an isobaric process I have already proved. This is nothing but it is dh, and this dh is nothing but it is pdv plus what is du is nothing but mcv dt, and this dq is mCp dt. This is nothing but it is pdv plus mCv dt. For ideal gas, PV is equal to mRT, where R is the gas constant. Okay, just remember this R is gas constant, it is not universal gas constant. So PdV is nothing but it is mR dt, because for fixed amount of mass and R is constant, so it is mR dt. Why it is PdV? Because VdP parts will be equal to 0 because at constant pressure. So this PdV may be written as mR dt plus mCv dt is equal to mCp dt. Now the Cp is nothing but it is equal to Cv plus R. So this is known as Victor-Mayer relation. Okay, so Cp is equal to Cv plus R. Now the ratio of Cp upon Cv is basically known as, this ratio is known as adiabatic index. Okay, this is known as adiabatic index, or it can be represented by gamma, and its value is 1.67 for monoatomic gas. Its value is 1.44 for diatomic gas, and its value is 1.33 for polyatomic gas. What does mean by monoatomic? Like helium, argon. Diatomic gas is nitrogen, oxygen, air. Air itself is a diatomic gas because it's constituted of oxygen, nitrogen. Polyatomic gas like your ammonia, phosgene and all that, for that its value is 1.33. The ratio of Cp upon Cv is basically known as adiabatic index. Okay. Similarly, now do for polytropic process. So what is the value of Cp for polytropic process? So for polytropic process, PV raised to the power n is equal to constant. So P1 PdV, that is the work done, is equal to dW, work done. And dq is equal to du plus dw. So this is nothing but mCp for poly delta T. mCp delta T is equal to mCv delta T plus P1 V1 minus P2 V2 upon n minus 1, as we have already proved In case of polytropic process, the work transfer is this one. Now we know that PV is equal to MRT. So P1 V1 is nothing but it is MRT1, and P2 V2 is nothing but MRT2. So this can be written as mCV delta T plus 1 upon n minus 1 mr, and T1 minus T2, that becomes minus of delta T, because delta T is T2 minus T1. So this becomes CV minus R upon n minus 1 m delta T is equal to m Cp for polytropic delta T. So Cp polytropic is equal to, what is the value of Cv? Cv minus R upon n minus 1. So now remember this thing, where this R is nothing but it is the gas constant. So these are the some processes, and we have calculated the heat transfer as well as the specific heat for different processes. What are the value of the specific heat and what are the values is in case of different processes. Okay. So this is for ADF polytropic process. Now I'll do some problem related to first law of thermodynamics. The first problem is a fluid confined in a cylinder by a spring-loaded frictionless piston such that pressure is the linear function of the volume. Its value is A plus BV, where A and B are constant. The internal energy of the fluid is given by U is equal to 34 plus PV. Okay, the relation of the internal energy is given, that is U is equal to 34 plus P times of P, where P is the pressure and V is the volume. If the fluid changes from initial state P1 V1 to a final state P2 V2, then find the heat transfer and work transfer. So we have to calculate the heat transfer as well as the work transfer, and pressure is a linear function, that is A plus BV. So how to solve this problem? Okay. So what is the relation of U? Relation of U is given as 34 plus PV, and pressure relation is given as A plus B times of V. I think it is A plus BV. Sorry. A plus B times of V. P1 is 170 and V1 is 0.03. 170 and 0.03. P1 is 170 kilopascal and V1 is 0.03 meter cube. What is P2 and V2? P2 is 400 kilopascal and V2 is 0.05. 400 kilopascal and V2 is 0.05 meter cube. So we have to calculate total work transfer and total heat transfer. A plus BV is given. So P1 is equal to A plus BV1, and P2 is equal to A plus B V2. Now putting the value of P and V, we will get the value of A and V as P1 170 into 10 raised to the power 3 is equal to A plus B times V1 is 0.03, P2 is 400 into 10 raised to the power 3 is equal to A plus B times 0.05. Now subtracting these two, so that comes to be 230 into 10 raised to the power 3 is equal to B times 0.02. So B becomes 230 upon 0.02 into 10 raised to the power 3. So this shows that B is equal to from -2, so that becomes 10 raised to the power 5. 230 upon 2, that is 115 into 10 raised to the power 5. This is the value of B. Now put the value of B in equation number 1. So we will get 170 into 10 raised to the power 3 is equal to A plus B is, what is B? 115 into 10 raised to the power 5 into 0.03. 115 into 10 raised to the power 5 into 0.03. So 170 into 10 raised to the power 3, this is equal to A plus, that is 10 raised to the power 115 into 3, that is 345 into 10 raised to the power 3. So what is the value of A? A is nothing but 170 minus 345 into 10 raised to the power 3. Okay, so this is the value of A. So what is the work transfer? So first, work transfer. What is work transfer? Work transfer is nothing but W is equal to integration P dV from V1 to V2, and this V is A plus B times of V dV from V1 to V2. So this becomes A times V2 minus V1 plus B upon 2 V2 square minus V1 square. This is the work transfer. So W is equal to A 345 minus 170, 5 4 47 to 175 minus 175 into 10 raised to the power 3 into V2 minus V1. What is V2? 0.05 minus 0.03, that is 0.02, plus B. What is the value of B? 115 into 10 raised to the power 5 upon 2 into V2 square, that is 5 square, 25 minus 9 into 10 raised to the power minus 4. So now solving this, we will get the total amount of work transfer is equal to 8.55 kilojoule. 8.55 kilojoule. This is the total amount of the work transfer. Okay. Now again we have given a relation U is equal to 34 plus PV. So what is U1? 34 plus P1 V1, and what is U2? This is again 34 plus P2 V2. So what is the change in internal energy? That is U2 minus U1, that comes out to be P2 V2 minus P1 V1. So what is P2? What is P2? 400. What is V2? 0.05. P1 is 170 and 0.03. That is 400 into 0.05 minus 170 into 0.03, this much kilojoule. So delta U becomes 20 minus 5.1. So this becomes 14.9 kilojoule. This much amount of internal energy has been transferred. So if this is delta Q, so according to first law of thermodynamics, Q barabar W plus delta U. So we will find out how much amount of the heat transfer will be taking place. This heat transfer is nothing but it is 8.55 plus 14.9. This much amount of heat transfer takes place in case of heat transfer. Okay, so some more problem we will discuss later on in the next class.